Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today we're going to take a look at a model from Happy Games Factory's Eden line. This is the Carmine Ronin, and unfortunately the front half of this video has been lost to my lack of technological understanding, for lack of a better word, and we're just going to roll on with it because it's a cool little model and I did want to show it off in case you are not familiar with it. While he is part of the ISC faction in the World of Eden, which is the tabletop skirmish game that Happy Games Factory makes, he was also part of their board game experience Escape and Lockdown. I believe he had stats for those. But the ISC is a faction of Japanese-styled robots, and obviously he is very much in samurai mode. So a couple of things to point out if you ever do end up getting one of these models, because there is no clear directions. All I had to work on was the card that came with him and the fact that my brother had already painted one and I'd seen what it looked like, so I kind of had a good idea of where to go. First of all, the arms and swords are all one piece, and they had a little ball joint that did not want to cooperate, so I had to go ahead and drill out the actual ports to attach those arms in, which was kind of annoying. The head, not a big deal. It had a little tiny spot, and I don't think I actually got it completely level or centered, but that's not a big deal. Shoulder pads, there was a tiny little attachment point for each of those, and I think I got them in the right spot. He also had these thruster things that I'm assuming go right here because there's nowhere else to put them. Whether or not that is the correct side, that's entirely debatable. Could have gone the other way, but I have no idea. And then finally he had these hip guard, groin armor, waist armor, whatever you want to call it, and they didn't really have any clear direction as to where to go, and I just kind of based it on the fact that that's about where it looks like it needs to sit. So that's what happened with him. He's on a 40mm base. He is kind of a big tall guy, so here's a GW Ogre just to give you a good indication. Let's get some humans out there. Our perennial unpainted Space Marine. So yeah, he's a big boy. Then again, almost everything in Eden is pretty big when it comes to size. Here is a standard human who is part of their Indian faction, and they have a bunch of big daddy type robot dudes that came with them as well. But just to give you a good size indication of how big Eden's models tend to be. Now, my first thought was, we're going to use it in some kind of a post-apocalyptic game, because you guys know I love finding funky models for that. Obviously, I thought it was maybe use like the sentry drone stats for now. Maybe he's got lasers in there or something. I don't know. But yeah, definitely it looks like it could be used in that. My other thought was possibly having it join in some kind of fantasy Japanese theme game. Maybe use it as some kind of a karakuri machine or something like that. Give it some stats and have it fight in, Test of Honor or, what is it? Ronin or one of those games that has a little bit of fantasy stuff. I'm also kind of curious to see what Titan Forge is going to do with their Dragon Empire rules when they have their Bloodfields game released. So I might find some rules and use for that. Worst case, stat it up like an Oni. But interesting model, funky design, hopefully built correctly. And just wanted to share that because it seems that the Eden stuff is getting a bit harder to find these days. I don't know what the situation is with the company, but it does seem like the models have all but disappeared. So if you do find yourself interested in any of this stuff, try to get a hold of it now because it doesn't seem like the future is looking as bright as it should be. But then again, with all the craziness going on in the world, that could be understandable. So again, you see this stuff anywhere, I'd say if you're even remotely interested, get it while you have a chance because I don't see it hanging around much longer, unfortunately. So I know I'm going to do my due diligence and keep my eyes peeled as well. With that said, this is High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures. Saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.